Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Dimitri's Desk, where we cover price action in crypto markets. We're going to take a look at what has happened in the previous week, where we are now, and where we might be heading. Today is August 15th, and this is episode 9. We're going to look through all the charts. We're going to look at Bitcoin, where it is now. We're going to look at IOST. We're going to look at ETH. We're going to look at EOS as well. And we're also going to take a look at the fear versus greed index and how that correlates to Bitcoin. All right, as always, we're going to jump into IOST USD daily chart first. We're going to take a look here. So looks like we did retrace a little bit from that penny mark that we crossed earlier. I was looking for a test of support there to validate further movement up. It looks like we didn't really get that much. We're holding now a support around 0.8. And we'll see how that progresses. OBV has been kind of moving sideways. There's a lot of fundamental play here in IOST. They're doing an airdrop for a token called LOL. It's for the Burmy app. And it's actually bringing a lot of pools and nodes to stake tokens and vote to receive this airdrop. So a lot of the tokens are going to be locked up for some period of time to receive this airdrop. So we might see a little bit of a difference in price action as this continues to happen. So right now, as far as technically, we're still below the penny, but we do have fundamental news in play that can actually significantly react in terms of price action. So we're going to be watching that closely as the airdrop is being rolled out and people start claiming those tokens, and we'll see what happens going forward with IOST, how that's going to reflect in price action. Let's take a look at ETH USD on a daily. It looks like we broke down here below 200, which is definitely not good. We're trying to test this 180 as being the support, but more support is going to come in around 140. At the moment, it looks like we're trying to test it. I wouldn't be surprised if 200 shows up as being the resistance. OBV looks like it's dropping off. Things are not really looking too good for ETH in terms of taking positions to the upside. I would want to see more validation to take on a position. At the moment, it looks like we're still in that limbo where the direction hasn't been really decided just yet. If we continue to break down lower, obviously, that exposed levels like 140 and 120 and so on. But that's a really grim scenario. I'll be looking for some support candles coming in the near future around these levels that I have outlined here. EOS USD looks like it's still struggling to make a decision on the direction. Looks like 350 is becoming that support that is holding for now. It's been holding a couple times here. OBV is dropping off, meaning that there are more sellers than buyers in terms of volume. So it'll be very interesting to see. I told you this last time that as long as EOS is below $5, I wouldn't be interested in taking any positions to the upside. Now, 350 is a pretty big level. If we break that, we might be going lower to 3 as being the next level, or even 2.5. So the direction here is going to be key. We'll see what happens within the next week, because right now it looks like we're still in that indecision phase where we bounce between the $5 and $3.50. All right, now let's jump into BTC USD. Now, I wanted to play a clip from last episode where I was talking about this top right here. I was mentioning that if you are holding profits running up on this rally that we had here, that it would be a good time to start taking those. If you are holding positions, a lot of traders are taking profits because they're up a pretty significant amount if they did catch the bottom below 10K or even 10K. So a little bit of a pullback will be healthy for BTC USD. And as we can see, we did start moving lower. We started correction here where we essentially topped off about 12, almost 12.5, and we started correcting lower. Looks like right now we're at a very interesting point because overall the correction from that top is about 20%, 23%. We tested that 9,500, which is a big level. Now we're trying to close on a daily above 10K, which is a very good sign. An interesting development here on RSI, where we're bouncing off that 41 level. At least it looks like it. We'll see how the daily close is actually going to happen. But it is interesting to point out that the price was lower here than we are now, and we're essentially at the same level as far as the RSI goes. This is something that's called a divergence. So where you have opposite reaction in terms of oscillator, which is RSI, and where the price is. So this actually could be an indication for bullish divergence for RSI. Now we have to wait until the candle close on a daily, the one that we're watching right now, to solidify that that strategy or that theory. So essentially, we're trying to put in the bottom and then see how that plays out in terms of the upside. Now we have a lot of fundamental news coming out from traditional finance. You know, we had a pretty big correction in terms of the stock market correcting. You know, Dow fell 800 points. Now, it's important to kind of keep this in mind, and you know, we've talked about this, and I see this a lot on Twitter, where when it is that flight to safety, risk-off environment, a lot of people jumping the gun and saying Bitcoin is the one that people would flee to alongside with gold and US dollar. However, that is not necessarily true. If you look at the correlation of risk-off environment, that doesn't necessarily pair up those Bitcoin and other flight to safety assets in the same category. So just to keep that in mind, you know, big things that happen. Obviously, we have bonds in US that are signaling as if there might be potential for a recession. And also at the same time, there's a lot of speculation about the next Fed meeting in terms of cutting rates. A lot of speculation where they might actually cut more than a quarter now. So this all is going on in traditional markets, which is causing this flight to safety, which essentially can impact BTC, because BTC, you know, is still considered to be a risky, volatile asset. So as all of this is going on, I wanted to talk to you about the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. So what this does, these guys compiled an index that involves different points. You can read through it here, how it is compiled. But what's more interesting actually is the relationship of BTC price as we fall between the levels of extreme greed and extreme fear. As you can see right now, we're at the very bottom of extreme fear. As we compare, you know, being at the very top, which was on June 26th, as extreme greed. Now, how does this relate to actual BTC price? So what I've done, actually, I've plugged in some of the dates where we were in extreme fear on BTC chart, and see how BTC performs post that as we come out of the extreme fear. So right now, it looks like we are at 13, and I've taken the dates here that have the similar index reading. So how does this look on BTC charts? Let's take a look. I have BTC USD chart here outlined, and these vertical lines indicate where index fell to the extreme fear reading. So we can see multiple times that we fell into here, did it June 7th, January 30th, December 15th. So this is, are at the same levels of extreme fear as we've been before in the past. And we can see that actually BTC has consistently rallied after we fall into extreme fear. So this might be actually showing us a potential opportunity to pick up BTC before it continues to go higher to that 13K mark that we've been talking about. So it is obviously very important when you pick your entries, knowing the trend. So that's why we take a look at the technicals. And I mentioned that, you know, once we get that close above 9,500, above 10K on a daily, that would signify, in fact, that, you know, we are continuing the trend to the upside. And lastly, as always, let's take a look at the BTC dominance and the overall total market cap for crypto. As we've been observing this for weeks now, it looks like we're actually getting a reverse relationship again, where BTC dominance is rising, but market cap is dropping, and we can actually see that in that some alts are bleeding heavily because of that. But essentially, this is something that we use to see when the actual rotation is going to happen from BTC into alts. Everybody's asking, when is the alt season going to happen? We're trying to track this to see if the BTC dominance is going to start dropping off and the total market cap is going to go higher, which can give us an indication that alts are in play and traders are looking to chase the yield outside of BTC. But looks like right now that's not happening. As a matter of fact, traders would rather hold BTC as the dominance climbs. So we're going to take a look here and see how this continues to develop going forward next week. But looks like for the past week we did get a little bit of a relief rally, but it looks like that's still coming down while BTC dominance is making new highs. And just for those that talk about BTC and gold, here's the chart that overlays gold on top of BTC price action. As you can see, that recently gold has been climbing while BTC has been dropping. So again, this just proves the point of the fact that when the flight to safety happens, gold is one of the top things that investors and traders go for. Gold, dollar, and so on, or where BTC is essentially still considered to be a riskier asset. We see that inverse relationship here, where gold is rallying, BTC is dropping. So for those people that think, BTC is a flight to safety, you might want to rethink that as you're trading. Well, that's about it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and happy trading.